Snappy Snippets.
Hello friends, I am back with another craft for another week. I hope you're all well. I hope you're enjoying the summer holidays now that you don't have any work to do and you can maybe see your family and your friends again. I am really enjoying seeing my friends again after so many weeks of not being able to see very many of them. Yeah, it's wonderful, isn't it? To just to love them and to spend time with them and just to praise God for them. I've been thanking God for the friends in my life recently. Now, we're going to do a craft today, and we're going to do a craft that helps us to think a little bit about the story that Mark helped us to understand on Monday about forgiveness. And it's a story that Jesus told about a servant, I'm sure you remember, a servant who owes a king a huge debt, a huge amount of money that he will never ever be able to pay back. It doesn't matter how hard he works, how hard he tries, how hard he saves, whatever, he could spend no money for the rest of his life and this man would still not be able to give the king back this money. Now in the story, Jesus says, this king says to the servant who has this huge debt, he says, I forgive you the debt. I forgive you. I will take it away. You don't have to pay it anymore. I'm not going to punish you for owing me this much money. It's gone. It's totally forgiven. Now, that is wonderful. That should be the best news this servant has ever heard. And he goes home in a great mood and he meets this other servant who owes him some money. Not very much, just a bit. Nothing like the amount he owed the king. And this man says to him, I can't pay it back. I can't. Now, instead of doing what the king did and forgiving this other person, this other servant, the servant says, well, I don't care. I'm not going to forgive you. It doesn't matter that the king has forgiven me all of this huge debt. I am not going to forgive your little one. I'm not going to do it. And he throws this man into prison. Now, when the king hears about this, the king is absolutely mad. Absolutely raging. And he throws this servant who has not forgiven the other servant into prison for the rest of his life. Now, what has that got to do with craft? Well, when Jesus tells stories, it always means something for us. Always. It's always about us. So what did Jesus mean telling us this story about these servants? Well, we know from the Bible that we have a big debt to the king as well. Not the king of a country, but the king of the whole universe, Jesus Christ. And our sin, our debt, the thing that we owe, is not money. It's worse than that. And it's not time. It's worse than that. It's sin. We have this debt of all the things we've ever done wrong, all the things we've thought wrong, done wrong, said wrong, felt wrong, everything. Every single time we have thought, I'm going to do this my way. I don't care what God thinks. I'm going to do it. Every single time from the minute we were born, that debt of wrong things has been building up and up and up. And you know, there is no way we can pay that back. We can't make it right. We can't take those things back. We can't make them right again. We couldn't, even if we were good for the rest of our lives, there is no way we could make that disappear. So, I was trying to think of something that demonstrates your this debt, and I thought, well, what about a pebble? I have a pebble here, nearly dropped it. I have a pebble here, and this pebble is quite heavy and it is just there. Now nothing you can do can make this pebble disappear. I can't make it weigh less. It's always going to be heavy. I can't change it, but I have it. And this is a bit like our debt of sin that we owe. It's there. We can't change it. We can't make it less. We can't make it disappear. We can't do anything about it at all. But just like the king in our story, Jesus forgives our debt. He takes our debt. He paid the debt that we owe. He forgave all our sin, and he took it away when he died on the cross. And he says, if you believe in me, if you put your trust in me, I will take it away. I will completely forgive it, just like the king in the story. So what I want you to do is go out into your garden, into the park, maybe somewhere there's a lake, or maybe in your garden you have some stones, and find a stone. It doesn't have to be this big. I've borrowed this from a friend's garden because I didn't have any stones. So go out and find a stone. In fact, find 2 stones. I have 2 stones here. And then I want you to find something you can decorate your stones with. Now, I have some glitter glue and I have some pens as well. I don't know, I'm going to try with the pens. I don't know how well they'll show up. So if you have something like paint, that would be perfect. I don't have any paints. I'm just going to use these glitter glue and the pens. But if you have paint, that's probably the best thing to use. And what I want you to do is I want you to get some paint, get some glitter glue, get a pen, and I want you to put a cross on this rock. You think you can do that? Give it a good squeeze. Tell you what, whilst I'm battling this glitter glue, you go out and find yourself a stone. Okay, so now you've got yourself a stone, I have a challenge for you. Put a cross on your rock and do a better job than me, because my glitter glue has just exploded everywhere. So this is as much as I could manage, but put something on there. A cross is good, and then maybe you can draw something round the cross, or maybe you'd like to write Jesus across the bottom. And I want when you look at this rock, it to remind you that Jesus' death on the cross has forgiven that debt of sin that you could never, ever, ever pay back. That just like the man in the story, he should have gone to prison. We should really, when we die, with all this debt, this heavy debt that we can't get rid of, we should be going to hell. We should be dying forever and ever. And instead, because of what Jesus has done on the cross, he takes away our debt. He forgives all of it. And when we trust in him, he takes it away. And when we die, we go to heaven to live forever. Which is amazing. That is huge. That is so much better than any money that the king forgave in the story. Now, you've got a second rock, and there's a second part of the story. In the second part of the story, this man who's been forgiven this huge debt, just like we have been forgiven our sin, he finds somebody who owes him something. Not very much, just something small. And instead of forgiving him like he has been forgiven, he doesn't forgive him at all, he punishes him. And Jesus tells this story because we need to forgive each other. If Jesus has forgiven us everything, a debt we could never ever repay, then we should forgive each other the small things that we do to hurt each other. So on your second rock, I want you to decorate it with not a cross, but something that you could give to somebody else. So on mine, I think I'm going to put a little heart. You don't have to put a heart, you can put whatever you like on this rock. Make it really, really pretty. Off you go. Okay, great job. So this is my second rock. A little bit more exploding glitter glue for me. Now I'm pretty convinced that my craft box has got nothing on yours. I'm sure you guys have got paint and stickers and better pens and glitter glue that doesn't explode, or some glue and some shake-on glitter. I'm sure your stones will look absolutely smashing. Mine looks a little bit simple, but you can see that on this one I have a cross to remind me of what Jesus has forgiven me. And on this one, I have a heart to remind me that because Jesus has forgiven my sin, I should forgive other people when they hurt me. And that's the story, isn't it? That's why Jesus told us the story. He told it for 2 reasons. He told us to warn us that if we don't come to Jesus and ask him to forgive the debt of sin that we could never take away, that heavy, heavy debt, then we will go to hell forever, just like that man should have gone to prison for his whole life. And then to remind us that nobody will ever sin against us as much as we have sinned against God. Never. It's impossible. So given that anything anybody does to you, however bad it is less, is smaller than what we have done to God, then we really should be forgiving each other, shouldn't we? We really should. And when that man in the story, when he didn't forgive the other servant, the king was so angry. And God will be angry if we don't forgive each other. He'll be so angry with us because he's taken our whole sin away and we can't forgive each other these little things. Once your rocks have dried, I want you to do something for me. Maybe with your mum, maybe with your brothers and sisters. I want you to go to a river or a stream or a pond. Make sure there's no ducks around. And I want you to take the rock that you've put a cross on. And I want you to stand by the water and then I want you to drop it in. And watch it sink. And watch it go away. And then I want you to thank God that because Jesus died on the cross, our sin is completely forgiven, totally taken away. Maybe have a talk to your parents about it. Maybe say sorry to God for the things that you've done and then thank him for forgiving you. And then this second rock I want you to keep. I want you to keep it until somebody does something really mean. Until somebody does something which makes you really mad, really angry. Something that you maybe just think, I'll never forgive them. I will never forgive them. That is too mean. And I want you to put this somewhere that will remind you when you're angry that Jesus says you have to forgive each other because I have forgiven you. Maybe you could give this rock to that friend or that brother or sister, or maybe you can just keep it to remind you to forgive each other. So can you do those two things? Take your rocks, which I'm sure are very, very beautiful and not at all like these. I want you to go and drop this into some water where it can disappear forever and thank God for taking away your heavy, heavy debt of sin and forgiving you when he died on the cross and trust him to save you from the punishment for your sin, which should be hell forever. Thank him that because he's died for you, you can go and be in heaven with him forever when you die. And then keep this somewhere to remind you when somebody hurts you that because Jesus has forgiven you, you must forgive each other. Now, I hope you have great fun doing this. I hope you have a good time praying to Jesus as you drop your stones in the water. And I hope that this week you forgive each other as Jesus has forgiven you. We will see you soon. Have a great week.